Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to the first review video regarding the long-listed book for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I will leave a link to my reaction video when the long list was announced a week or two or so ago down in the description box. And if you follow my channel, you probably know that I will at least try my very best to read all the long-listed books before the shortlist is announced on the 27th of April, and maybe even make a prediction video, what I would like to see on the shortlist, and then film a reaction video to the shortlist. You never know. But that's the plan. There are 16 books long-listed. You will find them all also in the description box. And like I told you when I made my reaction video, from these 16, I already had read only two. The Sentence by Louise Erdrich and the final revival of Opal and Neff, Opal and Neff, I think. I have difficulties with the pronunciation with this title, by a debut novel by Donnie Walton. But I also read these I read these two books for the BookTube Prize, for the octafinals, and so I can't talk about those until the octafinals are finalized, and that's end of March. By the way, public service announcement, if you are thinking of skipping this round, but you know, we don't have enough judges at the moment. You probably have received an email by Robert that we are 25 judges short, so maybe you will reconsider anyway. So I'm not going to talk about The Sentence and the Donnie Walton debut, but I have read now 3 more, and I'm in halfway about the 4th. So the first book that I read is Meg Mason's Sorrow and Bliss. And thank you to a subscriber, and I forgot the name. I forgot to write it down. I'm so sorry. I should have checked because it was on the reaction video, of course, because I forgot to mention that this is also a New Zealand author. There's another author from New Zealand with the one with the very difficult name, Catherine Chiche, with Remote Sympathy. But I've completely forgot. I mentioned that Meg Mason lives in Australia now, which is true, and that she has lived in London for a long time, which is also true, but she considers herself New Zealand author because she was born there. Anyway, so Meg Mason is also a book coming from New Zealand. Meg Mason is not a book, she's an author. Anyway, let's just talk about the book. So I read Sorrow and Bliss. It was my first encounter with this author, even though it's not a debut novel. And I liked it all right. It was not, loving it, and also not what a terrible book. It was somewhere in the mid range. So in Goodreads terms, my rating would be, a 3-star, a low 3-star. The book is about Martha, who has struggled with mental health issues ever since she was 17, when something happened in her head. That's how she explains it. But nobody really knows what. So you have, she has various diagnoses over the course of her life. She's now in her mid-end 30s, married to Patrick. And that doesn't go well because of the issues she is having. So it is a book about a relationship, because the central relationship is the marriage between Patrick and Martha. It's also about family, mother-daughter relationship. I'm not going to tell you too much why this is so important, because that would be a spoiler. But the theme, of course, the central theme in the book is mental health. I'm really interested in that topic. I have to admit, I'm not that much, gravitating towards your typical marriage story. I've read quite a few of them in my life, so that wouldn't be something. But the mental health issue that really interested me, and I thought it was well written. There was a good story behind it. The characters were interesting. I didn't like the way. That's why it was just a okay book. I liked it, but it was not more than that. The way the how am I going to put this without spoiling? The way that the solution was handled, the diagnosis, was handled. I didn't like that. And just to explain where I'm coming from, I'm not anti-diagnosis, but what I've experienced myself, and I don't have mental health issues, but I have family members with severe mental health issues or had them in the past. And what I saw is that the diagnosis is something that can be helpful, with the emphasis on can be helpful, especially if there's a certain treatment and you can have a treatment regimen. But it's not the big hallelujah kind of thing. It's not that once you have a diagnosis, everything will be better automatically. That's just not how it worked, at least not in my experience. And this the treatment of the diagnosis in the book, that just didn't work very well for me. So it was an okay read, but not a fantastic read. I will, in the end, of course, kind of give you a ranking, my top 6, because those are then the 6 that I feel should be on the shortlist. So the next one was my first dud in this series, and yes, this is a spoiler with regard to the Donnie Walton debut, and also the sentence, they were not duds. Okay, sorry, Robert, but anyway. So this was my first real dud, and that was Charlotte Mendelssohn's book, The Exhibitionist, one of the books that was published actually this year in March, just a couple of weeks ago. Charlotte Mendelssohn is a British writer from London, and she has published a couple of books. She was born in the mid-1970s. She has published a couple of books, but I have never read her either, so this was my first encounter with her work. The Exhibitionist is about, it's also a family story. You have Ray, the patriarch, set in contemporary times, by the way. So you have the patriarch Ray, who is an artist, more or less, like more a failed artist, because he hadn't had an exhibition in like 2 decades or something. You have his wife, who is also an artist, but on the back burner, because of course being a wife and mother is more important, and 3 children. The daughter Leah, who is the father's secretary, helper, assistant. She is this typical person who thinks everything that Ray does is fantastic, and her task in life is to help him, to support him. You have another child, Patrick, who has issues, had drug issues in the past, and then you have the younger daughter, Jess, who has some relationship and also life issues of her own, and everybody comes. Also, sisters of the of the parents, siblings of the parents, I should say, come to the house because this weekend it is the exhibition. Yeah. If you're thinking, well, that sounds like something I've read already, then exactly. I mean, Meg Wolitzer, the wife. This typical patriarch artist kind of person who dominates the family, and the wife is actually the better artist, but is on the back burner because, and that's okay, because of course everything, I mean, that has been done before is okay, because almost every book, when you just look at the theme or the story, has been done before. So if you have a love story, that has been done before. If you have a coming of age story, that has been done a million times before. If you have a story about a divorce or the crumbling of a marriage, that has been done a million times before. So that is not in itself a reason that a book is bad. But if this book doesn't offer anything in terms of individual characters, so that they are actually life-like persons, people, and not just, cardboard figures carrying a certain sign. I am the devoted wife. I am the patriarch who doesn't give a shit about anybody. I am the firstborn daughter who loves her father and does everything for. That is just extremely, extremely boring. So this book did not work for me. I thought the writing was good. I like the theme as such, certainly because of art. Every book, if it's about art, is always something that I would gravitate towards. But it was just not good. Didn't work for me. So at least I can say for me, it didn't work. So I didn't feel it was a good book. Then my third book, let me have a look that I'm not going to mess up the name. That's Lisa Ellen Agostini, The Bread the Devil Need. That book was published last year, May 2021, and Lisa Ellen Agostini is a Trinidadian author. The book is centering around a female protagonist, Alethea, 39 years old, in a very abusive relationship, but not a meek person. Not that the one is related to the other, but she is. No, let me restart before I get all the angry comments. If you look at her from the outside world, she's a very strong, independent, successful woman. She's a manager of a store with clothing. She knows what she is talking about. She is competent and exudes independence. But that is only the image that she projects to the outside world, because she is, like I said, in a very abusive relationship, doesn't really know how to get out of it, has issues with her past, with abuse in her past, and that is the story that we are told. It's also giving a broader picture of Trinidadian society, how things work, especially between men and women. And the book is written in Trinidadian Creole. And you know me, if you follow my channel, you know me, I always have issues with dialect or accent writing, especially. But this one, it was so well done, I felt, that first of all, I understood it, but it was also, I could hear the main character's voice. So that was a real pleasure to read in terms of how it was done. I mean, it's not a pleasure to read about abuse in your childhood, and certainly not about an abusive relationship. But I thought it was a really good book. I liked the journey. The character's journey was well done, but not romanticizing anything. So this one was certainly one that, for now, I mean, I've only read 5, and there's 11 more to go. So if all these 11 are fantastic, then that might change. But for now, I really would want to see this book on the shortlist. And then the book that I'm currently reading, that I'm in the middle of, is one that I also feel, for now, for half of the book, is fantastic, and I would want to have it on the shortlist, and that is Creatures of Passage by Morova Yejide, a Black American author from Washington, and the book is set in Washington, but in a sort of magical Washington. And again, you will say, what? You like books with magic and magical realism? No, normally I don't. With ghosts and stuff, and it's not that doesn't work for me. But there are authors who can make it work, even for me. I'm just saying, Jess Kidd. She can make it work. And this author, for now, at least, I would say she makes it work as well. The main character is Nephthys. She is a taxi driver, and she has ghosts in her boot, and she drives people to destinations. You also have a sibling, a twin, Osiris. Yeah, heavily Greek-oriented, Greek mythology. Or Greek mythology. I'm telling you bullshit. Egyptian mythology. So it's heavily influenced by Egyptian mythology, this book. And that is also something, by the way, that I love, because Egyptian mythology, yeah, I'm all in for that. So probably that's why I don't mind the ghosts. But anyway, so Nephthys and her twin Osiris, we learn what happened to him. And then there is a cousin, Amber, with a little boy, 10 years old. And that relationship is also part of the story. And I just think it's magical so far. Not quite halfway through, so I will keep you informed on this one with my next batch of reviews. So these are 3 of the 5 that I've read and 1 that I'm currently reading. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you read any of those, please let me know what you thought of them, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.